All right, guys, welcome to another edition of the Crawford County, Illinois Ghost Hunter Society live paranormal talk show. We are ready for episode number 53 tonight, guys. We're moving up there in the episodes. So I want to thank everybody tonight for tuning in. We got a special guest. So everybody hang in there and share this live feed and get it out there and let everybody know that we are going to be on here for a little while tonight, but I just wanted to tell you guys that we went to the Methodist Village the other night and the famous Pine Lawn Manor and had some things happen. My Sophie, not the Sophie that's on the show tonight, but my co-host Sophie is with me. We had some strange things happen there, so we're going to talk about that toward the end of the show, also, guys. But again, welcome to the show. You can email us at illinoishauntings@gmail.com. Definitely check that out and give us an email if you have any type of paranormal activity that you may be experiencing in your home, business, or any other location. Definitely send us an email. Check out our Facebook page. If you're not watching from there, you may be watching from YouTube. We're dual streaming to YouTube tonight. Our Facebook page is facebook.com/Crawford County Ghost Hunters. So definitely check out our YouTube page if you're not on there. It is youtube.com/Crawford County Ghost Hunters. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. We'd really appreciate it. But tonight's music, as always, in our intro is by the Midnight Syndicate. All rights reserved, used with permission. Those guys have some really gothic, creepy, horror style music. So definitely check those guys out at midnightsyndicate.com for some creepy style music if you guys are into that kind of stuff. But tonight's guest, I'm going to go ahead and bring her on to the show here tonight and introduce her real quick, is Sophie Mayvie, and I'm going to bring her into the cast. So,
Hello.
hey, Sophie, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I think I got this thing running right now tonight, but I had a little slow start. I sent her the link like 10 minutes before we went on here. So
That's fine. I was still setting up.
yeah. I always like it because I told her like my guest pictures always look way better than mine do. Like the video quality and the audio quality of the guests always look way better than me. I need to get like some. I don't know. I'm in the middle of nowhere too, like we were talking about, in the middle of cornfields here in southern Illinois, so it's kind of hard to get internet signal even. So, um, but anyway, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show. Start out with, and we kind of want to go into like your background. You're a published model, a blood painter, a supplier of. Now, what do you supply exactly? Can you tell the audience?
Human remains. I
Human
supply medical
remains.
medical bones, all sorts of retired medical wets, stuff like that.
Yeah. That's
Not
one of
not
the
the usual.
yeah, and see that's what like drew me to your page because like I'm a skull nut. Like I love like skulls and like I'm a Freemason and some of our symbols, and symbolism
hmm
obviously, is the human skull. And I saw your photographs and your page, where you had a lot of skulls and you were messing with that stuff and
hmm
restoration of that. That was just like, I love that stuff. So it like drew me in.
Yeah, I'm excited that you had me on. Thank you. I'm honored.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. um, but yeah, so let me see here. And you've got a website, right? I'm going to push your website too so everybody can look at that throughout the night. But it is anatomytdn.com. Is that correct?
Yep. There's
Okay,
not too much on it yet. I'm still building it, but it's getting there.
awesome. Yeah. So, what got you started in the whole creepy side of life? I mean, the whole like kind of gothic, creepy style of photography and doing what you do.
Honestly, probably just birth. Ever
Really?
since ever since I was the littlest kid, my parents used to tell me like they're the most like, you know, button down Christians you've ever met. And like when they were my age, they were like, we were gothic and we are the heavy metal. And I'm like, I can't picture any of this. But it just
Right.
stuck with me. And ever since I was a little tiny kid, I've always lived out in the farmlands, and I'd go around collecting all the animals that had passed in the fields, processing bones ever since I was like 2. My
That's
parents weren't
pretty.
happy about that.
That's interesting. So you would bring like skeletons basically back to like the house.
Yeah, I had this. we had a huge barn, and I had the spot behind the barn that they gave me where I just put all the bones, and like 50 vultures at a time would come and sit on the headstones because it was also right next to a cemetery. It was a look.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, the
It was
cemetery
fun.
next to your house.
Yeah.
Well, no wonder. No wonder you got into this stuff. But
Yep.
yeah, I think we kind of come from sort of the same backgrounds as far as like the crazy farmland, and yeah, I've got a cemetery about half a mile down the road, and yeah, it just got me into strange and paranormal stuff too. It's like I
Oh
like
man, it's all
anything.
great.
Hi, what'd you say? I'm sorry.
Oh, I said I love it. It's all great. All the spookiness of it, just it all kind of fits together, and then it just shifts right into science, which went into what I'm doing now. And
Yeah. So, like, do you like take things and mix them together and restore them, or like, are they all like
um,
skeletal remains of the same like species, or do you like mix anything to make weird combinations of?
I used to do that a lot, but I kind of had to shift my image away from it as it became a little bit more public. I used to do a lot of like artistic pieces. I don't know if you know what a
Right.
hand of glory is. In occultism, it would be like a thief's hand holding a candle made out of human fat, and I've made some quite legitimate ones of those. But
That's
then
pretty cool.
as my image shifted, I'm like, let's use my artistic skill to more practical uses.
Right. Yeah. Um. Oh, now I can see the comments finally. We got a few people up there. So, but yeah, so can you like kind of explain the blood painting thing? Like, how do you go about doing that?
It actually wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. When I was again a little kid, I read somewhere that they used to paint in human blood, and it was just such a novelty to me. And I tried in animal blood, which is super dangerous. Never do that.
Right.
And when I got older, I actually met a lot of blood painters that do it professionally for a living, and I got really
That's
inspired off their work. And some of them reached out to help me with it, and just kind of took off from there.
Yeah. Now, how do you do that? I mean, do you actually dip your brush in blood and paint?
I
I mean,
do.
how's that work?
I use venipuncture, so I'll actually use like a needle to take my own blood with the help of someone else. So
Oh, so it's your
that
own
can
blood?
it's my own blood. I only ever use my own blood for safety's sake.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I didn't know.
I've had a
I
lot of
didn't know if
people ask
you,
me to use theirs, and I'm like, ah.
yeah, I didn't know if you use like animal blood or anything to do any of that, or like if it's straight out human blood then your own.
Straight out human blood from my arm, not period blood, which people for some reason assume because I'm a woman. I'm like, no, it's not, I swear.
Yeah. So, like, do your arms get scarred up, or how's that work?
Um, I don't actually, it takes about this much blood to do an entire painting, if not more.
Right.
So I only need to take blood probably once a month, and it keeps in your fridge pretty well. I just add some preservatives, and it can just keep going for a couple paintings. And so I don't have like, I'm always worried, like, oh God, it's gonna look like I'm a druggie with all these scars on my arms.
Right. Right.
Uh,
And
but
do
no,
you sell those too?
I do, yes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And are those like available on your website?
They will be. I usually do just commission because they go pretty quick, and people usually have a
Okay.
very specific idea of what they want. But I'm trying to work on my art more just for my own style and get some more stuff out there that's just readily available.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I didn't know how that worked. Like, I didn't know if people, if you use like, if you just like collect chickens and drain their blood or what.
See, the thing with animal blood, like messing with human blood, it has its dangers. It's definitely a
Right,
biohazard, but animal blood is a whole other animal, no pun intended. It's just something you don't want to mess with.
right. Yeah,
Also, the ethics.
yeah, yeah. Trying to read some of the comments here. It says, have you guys ever heard of Shams al Marif? It said that if it was written by the most powerful jinn, it's a direct link into the underworld. You might be into that, Sophie. I
I
don't
know a
know.
little bit about gins, but not too much.
Yeah, here's the question.
The audio. I haven't heard of that specifically, but it does sound like something I'd be into.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Um, so like, yeah, we like I say, I'm in Freemasonry and stuff, and we use medical skulls and some stuff for some of our rituals and degree work, like especially the Knights Templar.
Mhm.
There's some interesting stuff where there's a human skull in one of our degrees in the Knights Templar degrees, and I just always wondered, like, do you order your like stuff? It's all medical, like people that donated to their
Yeah.
body. I mean, is that where you get your stuff?
Yep,
Is it all
100%.
medical?
I don't do the great grave robbing thing. There are some people out there that do, and I'm like, how are you guys getting away with this? This is so wrong.
Right.
But
Yeah.
my company, what I do specifically is we buy medical companies that used to like actually process the bones, and then when the trade fell through, we would buy up the companies.
Right.
And a lot of the time, what a lot of the people you'll see out here doing is they'll be taking whole skeletons and they'll be piecing them out because there's money in it. But
Right.
with the company I work with, um, it's just we find it extremely immoral
Right.
to
Yeah.
just taking somebody apart, selling them for profit. So my job specifically is to put them back together. Any kind of skulls that have been damaged, I put the teeth back in. Any kind of bones that are missing, I rewire. So it's a lot of work, and it's not the most profitable, but
Right.
we just uphold that really strongly.
Have you ever thought about getting into like forensics or like like examining like crime scene type stuff since you know so much about like anatomy and the human bone structure and
See, it's funny you mentioned it because like probably last week somebody posted in one of the groups that they're doing a forensics class down near Philly, and I'm like, I want to do this so
I
bad.
figured I
But
figured
it's like
that'd be right.
$900 a ticket, and I'm like, haha.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. But
Yeah,
the dream of all dreams is to go to med school. That's kind of where it all started. Some of my closest friends are all in med school, and they kind of really inspired me to get into anatomy. That's like my main passion for study. But
right.
someday.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I figured that'd be right up your alley because I mean, yeah, examining crime scenes and finding that, heck, you could probably put it together before the before the
It would be a dream.
investigators
It
figure
really
out
would.
what's going
Because I
on.
can I've worked with them so much that if you hand me a skull that has damage to it, I can generally tell you what caused it, when it died, how it died, if they died, if the damage is done pre or post mortem, stuff like that. But
Really?
I imagine if I'm like actually in the crime field, everyone else will just make me look stupid because
No,
they'll know eons more than me.
I don't know. You may teach them something. I guess you
Nice.
could. You may have been doing it for longer than some of those guys have. But
They're just gonna start questioning where I have all this knowledge from.
right, yeah, it's like self-taught knowledge. They're gonna be like, "Oh my God, she's a grave robber." No, but
Ah,
so like, I take it your family. You mentioned your family was like hardcore Christians growing up or something, and like,
yeah,
what did they think about all this?
so they were, I guess when they were my age, they were like super into the occult and gothic and like heavy metal scene, like really hard. And they kind of like hid it from us children, I guess, became super Christian. And then when I was 6 years old, they had this brilliant idea that they were going to show us what the occult was and scare it out of us. And I just
Right?
watched it and was like, this is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
So I pursued that so hard and I got super into demonology and demonolatry and all that. And that's kind of what I do 50-50 with the bones. I don't mix the two, but like most of my life is in that. And that, yeah, they weren't happy.
Yeah. So you did get into demonology, you say?
Yeah, very much. That's actually how I got my start is because again, where we lived is like there's just like barely any way to get internet that's good.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I wasn't really part of it much. And I started a blog specifically for demonology and the demon that I work with, and it blew up. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize that I could have a voice online. And it kind of just immediately turned into osteology and anatomy and all that. And I was like, oh, this is cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So what's your theory on demons and all that? Like, I mean, what?
it's you can't just put something on it. And I spent my whole life with people asking me my perception of it because
Right.
and I always like had this distinct answer that I give them. And after a while, I was just like, it's so hard to explain. I really do feel like it's different for everyone else. But for me
Yeah.
specifically, it's like such a strong reality that
Right.
I don't think anyone can convince me otherwise. And I've dared people to try now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've like tried to dive into like demonic cases and stuff, in the paranormal field, and like,
Hmm.
actually investigate places where, people are supposedly possessed by demons, or,
Hmm.
they say I won't last like 3 minutes when I go into these locations. And it's just like, I mean, 9 times out of 10, I've found that most of it's like been a mental illness. That's why I was
Hmm.
asking. You're like, and I mean, unfortunately, that's been the case. Like one guy was actually dying of cancer, and like he was in the end process of life, and I think he he kind of was just hallucinating and seeing things toward the the end of his life, and they
Hmm.
thought he was possessed and everything. He was doing all this weird stuff, but yeah, most of the cases I've been involved with turned out to just be mental illness, and it's like I've been wanting to find a demon for years. It's like I can't. I've been trying to find the real thing, and it's like nothing's ever turned out for me to be legit. So it's just like I'm on the
It's
fence about
tricky.
the whole
Uh,
thing.
I ran a site for a long time on it, and I'd have a lot of people come to me and be like, "Hey, you're the epicenter of all this. Can I tell you about this demon that's with me?" And
Yeah,
9 times out of 10, it was just either mental illness or something. I wouldn't even call it mental illness in some cases. It was almost like a delusion somebody had created because they needed it to be true.
right. So you
And
ran into a lot of that too.
yeah, a lot. And
Yeah,
over the years, I've gotten more and more closed off with my information because you can give somebody information and it can become dangerous if they're not stable. So I'm
yeah,
just there's probably 3 people that I actually converse with and trust with the information that I have to the extent that I have it and to speak with the demon that I do and stuff like that.
right. So like when you got into the whole occult and stuff like did you get into witchcraft or anything like that? Are you into like any of the Wiccan stuff or witchcraft or
When I was a little kid, I dabbled in witchcraft, but it never really grabbed me. My mom was a witch for a while, but she practiced witchcraft. She wasn't a witch,
right?
but it never grasped me. It wasn't about the act of performing magic. It was more like the knowledge that I wanted. So I gravitated more towards demonology because it was just the understanding of it all as opposed to like the actual practice. Not that I haven't dabbled in that too, but I kind of
Oh,
stay away.
right, right. So I mean, I guess I kind of want to dive. I apologize if you don't want to answer this. You don't have to. But what's your religious standpoint now? Like, are you? What's your beliefs as far as religion goes? Because I'm a big. I don't. I'm not a big religious guy myself. But
That's a tricky one, honestly. I've 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 gone through a lot. For a long time, I had a very strict understanding, just like the Christian basic understanding, and I was like, it kind of fit into what I believed in with the demons, but
yeah,
I, it disappointed me watching people, and I started to realize the real problem was like organized religion itself was an issue. It
yeah,
just was
exactly.
creating this horrific mindset with everybody that I ever loved who fell towards it, I guess. So
Right,
I kind of went with what my father and me always said when I was growing up because he was just very much into this kind of stuff. He said he doesn't call himself anything or believe in anything unless it's known to him 100%.
right,
And he's always told when I would ask him about it, he'd be like, "I've had my experiences in life," and he believes in a God. He's like, "I've had experiences in life that can never shake my faith in it." And he's
right.
always like, "I can't explain that to you because I can't make you convinced of anything, but I hope that you find that someday." And that was always really empowering to me. So I've
Yeah,
always definitely gravitated more towards something godlike, I guess.
right. Yeah,
Definitely something otherworldly.
yeah. I'm not a big fan of organized religion either, but that's kind of the way I am. I'm like, I know there's something, I just don't
Mm,
don't know, what that is because I've seen and heard too much in the paranormal field to believe what the Bible says. Unfortunately, I mean, I don't know.
yeah,
Were they Catholic or like were they just
Baptist.
they were
They kind of jumped
Baptist?
around a little.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
like a lot of
they got
times
sucked into it.
I've noticed people a lot of times that get into the demonology were Catholic or had Catholic parents or grew up in the
Hmm.
Catholic church because demonology and the demons so big, in the Catholic religion. Everything's
Oh
dark
yeah,
and evil, to them. It's like,
yeah. See, honestly, I probably wouldn't have even gotten into demons if my parents hadn't pushed it so hard. They had
right.
like documentaries and like I don't know, just a lot of like horrific demonic imagery at a
Yeah,
young age in an attempt to scare us away, which is like the whole Christian view, I guess. I can't say for certain, but that was definitely my parents and like the church that we were in at the time. And all
yeah,
it did was just like, wow, this is fascinating. This stuff exists. Whoa.
yeah.
It didn't work. But yeah, I don't because there isn't a lot of that in like the Baptist Bible. It
Right,
doesn't it
yeah,
never says the name Lucifer, it never goes into any of that, but the
right.
internet exists. And the second I found that, I learned all the different aspects and the different everything about it. It's just no
Right.
end.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, what was your like? I guess awakening where you started believing that demons are real. I mean that they actually exist and could actually do things within our realm.
It's an interesting story. So I don't think I've ever told it like publicly,
You don't have
but
to if you don't want to.
oh no, it's fine. It's what I
Okay.
do, and I don't think anybody like even knows it.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I was just like this horribly angry child, and I needed more. I needed something bigger and better, and I needed magic and the occult and stuff like that to exist. I needed to see it with my own eyes. So I found all the old Solomonic um, rituals in all the Key of Solomon and all those, and I just spent every night, all night, every day of my life, just drawing them out and translating them and figuring out what demons were what and all this. And I still remember which one it was, and I won't say what it is because I don't want people messing with it.
Right.
Because now I'm like, I don't know.
So you
But I
think
found,
if you name them or talk about the name, it gives them power? I
yeah,
mean, you think it empowers them, kind of?
I was explaining someone to this yesterday, where in demon philosophy, it's if you know their true name, a demon will always hide their true name because if you know it, you have power over them, and that's
Right.
the whole basic like binding ritual magic aspect of it. Where if you have the demon's name, you can then utilize its powers. That's what it is in the grimoires and stuff like that. That's
Yeah.
never what I did, but I had an old ritual that I ended up performing, and something showed up, and it wasn't who I was trying to get at the time, and
Right.
they never left again. They have been with me every day of my life.
Really.
Yeah, they weren't happy in the beginning. It was probably like 4 years until they stopped like actively trying to kill me.
Try? Did you say try to kill you?
Yes, it was rough.
Really?
Yes.
So, but you feel like you still have them around you?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Really?
I have the nickname for them is N, and I have that tattooed on my body.
Okay.
I'm hardcore, but
Right.
um, I've basically befriended. Um, I still call them a demon, just because that's just how the mindset was as a kid. I can't say for sure that's what it is. It could be a spirit, yada yada.
Right.
But for me personally, like my connection to them is so strong that for for instance, all the tattoos on my entire body are from neck to toe. When it's all done, is every single one is going to be in tribute of this demon.
Hmm. So you think? I mean, did you? It's because you summoned this particular demon?
By accident. I was aiming
Right.
for
By
somebody
accident.
else, but
Right.
um, whatever I did got them stuck to me basically,
Hmm.
and they weren't happy about it. I wasn't happy about it, and I don't know if they'll leave when I die or what, but
Right.
we just kind of created a bond. And
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you feel to the point now where it's like a protective like force, or is it
oh,
always like something bad?
definitely, yeah, definitely a protective force. Um, and everyone I know knows them. My husband
Hmm.
would consider themselves friends with them.
Yeah.
My parents, my sister, anybody around me knows who they are. Some of them have met them. They're
Right.
not shy.
Yeah. So do they make? I mean, is it physical manifestations of things that happen around you, or like, I mean, is it just like a feeling, or like?
It's a little bit of both. For me, it's like constant because for me, I'm so familiar with them. I can always tell when they're talking or when they're there. But it's a very attention-seeking demon. So if it's not getting paid attention to enough, it'll cause stuff to happen, like throwing books and breaking things and stuff like that, loud noises, voices. Not just
Yeah.
me, I'm not insane. Other people
I,
too.
I mean, they actually interact and affect the physical environment around you. Like
Yeah,
they'll break things.
yeah. They
That's
definitely did a lot more back when I first summoned them. Basically, they were a lot angrier about it, so they were a lot more just out in the open about it. But
right. This is
life
inter-
at that point was hell for everyone around me too, because it was crazy.
hmm.
But they're much
Yeah,
calmer now.
that's interesting. Especially when you get physical interaction, in the environment around somebody who
Mhm.
claims to have something going on like that. Have you ever tried like videoing it or anything like with a video camera or even like audio, trying to capture any voices or anything?
Not really. Back when I ran the website, there was a lot of people, like obviously all over the world, that would talk, and there was never anything really recorded, I guess. It was mostly just like conversations or video chats, but then it was more like me just saying what the demon was saying, and so it wasn't
Yeah.
you know, tough to 100% slap something on and be like, see, this is real.
Right.
I've
Yeah.
always said to people, it's like you need to invest your time in this, and then you'll there's no doubt in your mind that it will be what it is. But it takes
Right.
time.
Yeah. So, and you're saying like your whole body modification from your tattoos to everything has been involved around this type of stuff.
Yes. That
That's
in a weird
very
way was an agreement that I made with them.
that's pretty cool actually. I mean, that's just really that's very unique. I mean, let me put it that way. Like,
I know them so well, it's to the point where they're like, I know their greatest, I guess you could say weaknesses. I don't know what that
yeah,
would be called, but like one of their wishes was always to be a manifestation like in the living flesh. And I never wanted to exist growing up. So I was like, I'll make you a deal. I'll make you exist on my body so you're here in the present. And then your name will always be spoken because people are always going to be like, what does this mean? Yada, yada. It's going to be a whole story through my life with you in
right,
it. And then I'll kind of exist less in a weird way.
right. That's that's very unique. I mean, seriously, like I mean, I've been into demons and stuff too, and like. I don't know. I've never seen anyone as affected, I guess, as you are by, like body modification and actually, trying to, um, I guess you're almost trying to show a part of them through you. Is that what's going on, maybe?
Exactly. Because N is such a strong part of my life, probably just as strong as my child is to me,
Right.
that to see them not exist and not be seen, even though I know they're there and other people sometimes know they're there, I don't know. It's a very emotional connection with something, which sounds very, I don't know, yoga-y or something, but
Right.
it's
Yeah.
it's it's spiritual, I guess you could say. It's very, to
Oh,
me,
yeah.
they're real. They have every detail any existing living human would have. They're
Right.
completely unique from me. When it's
So, I
to
mean, do you
me,
see them in physical human form, or do you see them in this like weird demonic, half human, half
I've
whatever?
I've seen them in different forms. It very contributes to their mood, I guess. Um, Sometimes they come off very demonically, very showy. One thing is like in demonology, there's the demon Paimon, and when you summon him, he comes in
Wait,
riding
right?
a
What
camel.
what did you just say?
The demon Paimon, I don't know if you know
Oh,
them.
okay.
Um,
Yeah.
he's one of the most notorious demons for showing up like in the old ritual books. Supposedly, when you
Right.
summon him, he shows up riding a camel,
Yeah, I know.
and
I
he's
know who you're
dripped in
talking about.
gold, and he's got trumpets blaring, and like they're very showy.
Yeah.
But sometimes he's like that. Most of the time, I see him very in a more human-ish kind of way.
Right. That's very interesting. Because, like, I don't know. Hold on. Let me see what this. I still don't know what this guy's saying. Hold on. Let me throw up some questions here real quick. You guys ever heard Shim? So it was written by the most powerful. Did you ever read that?
I have them up on my phone so I can read them too.
Here's another
My eyes
one.
are so
Sorry.
bad.
Humans see signatures of ghosts on their peripheral vision. We perceive 1% of the visible light spectrum. Yeah, I mean, they could be existing in an area of light we can't even see. I mean, but yeah, there's so many theories to this as to why and how, some people can see this stuff and feel this stuff, and some people can't too. It's just like,
Mhm.
you just maybe, maybe you've just been, do you feel like from a young age you've been able to like see things that other people haven't, like even ghosts? I mean,
Definitely.
and can you separate ghosts from demons?
I can separate them for the most part, but I've always had a very complicated relationship with the concept of ghost and demon because in to the level that I get to know demons, they're very like extremely unique. They're like living people with their own lives, their own details. So I know a
Right.
lot of them tend to get super bored, go to like abandoned buildings where people are, and just like to scare the heck out of them because what else are they gonna do?
Right. Yeah.
Because sometimes you get people that are gonna pursue that one ghost, and that gives that demon an outlet to exist, basically. But it's tough to say because I haven't had too much experience with ghosts themselves.
Right. See, that's what I'm wondering too. Are you sure some of these things aren't just plain out ghosts and
They
not
very well could be.
demons?
I've always made it a rule. that me and the demon have that I don't work with any other demon besides them. Like
Hmm.
obviously, like I'll discuss with other demons, they'll come up because they have relationships with other demons and all that. But I
Hmm.
will never work with them because I just don't trust them. And the amount of time it took to build a relationship with this one, it just wasn't. It's not worth doing it all over again for another demon that I'm just like constantly like, are you gonna like fuck with me now?
Right.
But um, they're crafty devils, as they say. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't. Sometimes it could just be a ghost that's pretending to be a demon or a demon pretending to be a ghost. I'm not an expert in ghosts, so I honestly wouldn't even know.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting because when we do what we call like ITC sessions or EVP sessions, ITC is like hold on, got another question here, but instrumental transcommunication is what ITC is, and EVP, electronic voice phenomena. When we try to record voices of the dead, basically, I'll go out in these cemeteries at night, and I had the same problem. My family thought I was nuts and demonic and satanic, and because I got a lot of family members that still won't talk to me because like I go out in cemeteries at night by myself, since I was like
Mm-hmm.
little, or since I got my driver's license and I turned 16, I was going out to all these cemeteries, and people thought I was just this evil dude, and like they didn't know
See,
what was
why
going
aren't more
on.
guys like that?
What's that?
Said, why aren't more guys like this?
Yeah. And like I couldn't find anybody to go with me, obviously, at first. I mean, a few friends would, but they thought I was crazy too. But I go out in the cemeteries and talk to dead people. Everybody else was like playing sports or doing something else. But it's like, but yeah, with the instrumental transcommunication and the communication with the dead, sometimes I wonder, if some of these things that I'm communicating or talking with isn't, they're not lying to me, and there's somebody else, or, are they really telling me the truth when they say, something? And very seldom do I get phrases like religious style phrases, but I have gotten a couple like in a cemetery one time. I actually placed a recorder on top of this tombstone, and the tombstone had a little concrete Bible built into the stone. It was like this
Mm-hmm.
this Bible up there. So I put the recorder up there. I said, "Can you tell me anything about religion? Is it real?" I said, "Can you tell me about God? Can you see God or anything?" And ask some weird questions when I'm out
Those are
there.
the good ones.
But, yeah, and I got I got a rephrase back that said, "No Bible, no God." And that was like one of the first times I was like, are they telling the truth, or is this some type of like evil stuff trying to lead me astray? I don't know. Or is it demons? Is it
Mm-hmm.
demonic forces trying to lead me into a different direction than what I'm supposed to be going? I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I mean, that's why it's interesting that you're actually physically affected by these things. I think I mean, it's probably not. It may not be cool to you, but it's cool for me talking to you about it, because like I've never talked to anybody that's as physically affected as you are. That's pretty cool.
It's the normal world. Like I've absorbed it all from a young age. I'm like, okay, this is it. This is as far as life goes. You grow up, you go to school, you grow up, you make money, get married, you have kids. That's the rest of it. But
Yeah.
there's everything else outside that that nobody else seems to care to dabble in anymore. And my
Right.
goal as a small kid was just like, I need to know. I have to know.
Right. Yeah, people are just oblivious to the powers that are in nature, or out there. People just don't know. They stay inside. Everybody's like so like um I don't know, technologically driven, I guess. Nowadays they stay inside behind their computers all day. They don't go outside and experience like
Mm,
the stuff that happens in nature. And it's like this natural stuff that takes place in nature, whether it be from the spirit world or whatever, is kind of like, not many people experience that. And
no.
it sounds like you've been going out in the cemeteries for years. So I mean,
Yes.
I think you kind of know what I'm talking about. But it's like,
Oh yeah, definitely.
but it's just cool though that this has like almost shaped you into who you are. I mean, it's turned you into who you are, through your body modification, your tattoos. I mean, I think that's very interesting. I mean,
It
it's
definitely is. I mean, it was just a conscious decision I made one day where I was like, if I'm gonna have this drive to have an understanding of something that no one else does to the extent that I do, I don't want to go through my entire life dressing and looking and being like everyone else. Is just I would reach the end of my life and I would be disappointed in me to do that.
right. Yeah. And so, what do you think? Let's say you never got into this demon stuff and like summon this and like try to represent what they were kind of showing you body wise. Like, what do you think you would look like appearance wise if you never got into that type of stuff?
Probably would have been very Valley Girl looking. I
Right?
probably would have like been absorbed in like just the
Like blonde hair,
classic girly appearances.
blonde hair and skirts.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I had a phase for a while when I first had my kid, and I'm like, I said goodbye to the demon, and I was like, all right, I need to like say goodbye for like 2 years while I just focus on my child. They left for a while, and I like, oh God, it was terrible. I had
Yeah.
like blonde hair, wore yoga pants.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah. Then the demons came back out.
Yeah, they almost didn't want it. They're like, what the heck?
Yeah. That's funny. But yeah. So is that what got the whole blood painting thing too? Like, is that something like something told you to do, or how did you get the idea to I'm gonna use my own blood to paint? I mean, was that a demonic type voice, or like where did you get that?
It's a good question, actually. I don't know what stemmed me to do it. It's always been in the back of my mind as something I needed to do. To me, blood is probably one of the most important aspects of identity of DNA.
Right.
So even in rituals, like blood was such an important part of it. And I was like, if you can create art and actually go to the extent, because back when I was younger, I was like, I didn't know you could just take blood out of yourself and use it to a larger extent. I thought you'd like, gotta brush my
Right.
teeth and hope I get a little bit of blood. But
Right.
it was a long time until I realized like how to do it and how to do it safely.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, I need to create. I need to create as much as I can in it. And at the same time, I'm like, is it weird to like keep your own art with your own blood on your wall? Is that like egotistical? So I try and sell
Yeah.
most of it.
Yeah. See, do you ever worry about like, I mean, in some like occults and cult different types of even in the satanic stuff, they believe like blood is highly, full of energy. I mean, do you believe that like by giving or selling your paintings with your blood that you're almost giving like some of your energy to that person? Like, I mean, because your energy is contained within that, what the painting or drawing or whatever you do with
Mm-hmm.
the blood.
I definitely think so. I think
Yeah.
that's the reason. I think there's a lot more to it than even, for instance, in crimes and stuff like that. Like the biggest fear is to leave your blood behind.
Right.
Not that I've done any crimes and have been worried about that, but like that's just like a common thing you see. But it's the same. To actually take your blood and put it out there in the world is a whole. It it's just a whole thing in itself because most people don't even like needles. They don't even like the thought of blood. It's appalling to them. So to take it and to just give it away into the world is. I think there's a reason why it's such a taboo subject to people
Right.
because there
Right.
is so much wrapped around it spiritually, physically. It's so to me, it's definitely like I'm giving you a piece of me now, and the
Yeah.
energy in that is how much I spent pouring into this image. It wasn't just I whipped up a picture and put blood on it. It was this is the image you commissioned for this specific reason. And a lot of the time, it's like very grotesque imagery or like an abuse victim who wants to express themselves through a painting and just really kind of release that. And to
Right.
work on something like that and put your blood on it is it brings it to life in a way.
Hmm. Yeah, I understand. Um, have you ever got into like because of that? Like, did you not ever get into like the vampire stuff, like the whole vampire like cult? I mean, it's just your blood you're giving. You never wanted to like,
I've
like,
thought about it a lot. When I was younger, I definitely like I was never involved in the circles, but I've watched the circles that were very into the whole vampire-ness of it. But that was like the peak of Twilight, so I was like, I'm not gonna go down that road. But
right,
I've definitely like I've met people who believe that as firmly as I believe in demons. So I will never deny that that exists. But I've never like drank someone's blood or anything.
right, yeah, yeah, because that got me thinking about that too. The whole blood drinking and some people. There are literally modern day vampires that think they,
Yeah.
get energy from people's blood, and that's what I was worried about too. You selling your paintings with your blood on it, if they could actually draw energy, that way or from you. It's like if you were worried about that type of thing.
I'm personally not. I'm such a I'm such a miserable person. I'm like, what can't get worse than this anyway?
Yeah.
So I've never been worried, but I've had a lot of people commission paintings and they've definitely asked me for my blood because they're too nervous to give me theirs. because they're like, I don't know, like, like if anything will come of it, in the magical sense, like if that opens me up to spirits and this and the other thing. And I'm like, I'm perfectly fine using my own blood as it is. I actually don't really want to mess with anyone else's, but it's definitely possible to mess with someone through their blood.
Right.
It's always been a coveted thing, is keep your blood safe, especially in
Right.
like witchcraft and occultism. But I've never dabbled in that either, other than just
Right.
painting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you even get back into some of the biblical conspiracies and theories too, some people think that, some people hold the blood of Christ, or like, yeah, even like, there's this bloodline of Christ that extends from back in the day, and people actually captured blood from when he was pierced, up on the cross, or, they put nails through his palms, if you believe in, the whole story of that and the Christian story of that. And like, there's people that claim they, passed all this down, and even, dried samples through the years and kept it in little vials. And like, I mean, so yeah, blood's been a powerful thing, and even in religions from, way back into time immemorial, where, civilization first started and mankind kept record, people were doing this blood magic and stuff. So it's like, yeah, it can be a powerful thing. Diana's saying, she's got a question here, Diana Dart. Is it a freeing feeling to you to give someone a blood painting?
Definitely, but I think it's even more in the sense of people actually want my art.
Right.
Like you never think that someone's gonna love the things that you do, and then I created one piece specifically. Can't remember her name. It was a voodoo priestess that I did, very famous one. Her name is slipping my mind for the moment. But
you done it for a voodoo priestess? You did it for a voodoo priestess? Is that what you said?
No, I did it of a voodoo priestess
of a voodoo priestess. Okay.
Someone down the lineage. And
okay.
I posted a picture of it, and I had ungodly amounts of people that were like, "Can you recreate this image?" And I was like, "No, they're one of a kind. I will only this person with like that was in their heritage. I specifically did it for this person."
Right.
But like that feeling of people were like, "I want your art, and I just have to have it in blood." And I'm like, "That's a good feeling."
Right. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Let me see. Throwing up some more comments up here. W.C. Brick ate human flesh. I think that's a little different story.
Have I? No. Someday will I? I won't say yes or no, but you know the answer.
You haven't ate anybody yet?
Not yet. Still disappointed in that one. Really letting myself down.
Yeah. She's going to go after the show and be like, I need to eat somebody.
You never know. Opportunity might fall on your lap.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I'm going to have the feds at the door tomorrow. I know it. I always say that to my husband. I'm like, I'm cleaning the house. He's like, why are you cleaning it? I'm like, I saw human remains. The FBI are going to show up someday. The house has to be tidy. I have to have tea ready. Someday it's going to happen.
Yeah. FBI is going to raid your house because of all the skeletons.
Well, we had a funny story. We had a massive fire back in last April, and I had kept all of my astrological supplies in there. So all the human remains were in that studio when it burned. Yeah. And like the firefighters were in there, like putting it all out. And I'm like, how am I going to explain these child bones in the fire? And they're like, no, there was no living children.
Yeah.
I'm
actually on a fire department, so yeah, that would freak me out. If I like go into this room and we put it out, and there's like all these skeletons everywhere. I'm like, my God, how many people were in here?
I know. There was some anxiety there when he was asking me questions. I was like, I run an osteological supply company. Let me explain.
Yeah. Because our first thing, like, we would definitely be calling like the sheriff's department or the FBI. It's like, we got a room full of like burnt skeletons here.
Yeah, it was. It was. There was a moment of panic.
Yeah, I bet. It
looks like I'm like keeping like this giant shed full of people.
Yeah. Oh my God, I can just picture that. And like, so you have like animals too, though, right? Like cats and stuff like that. Like I see one of your pictures, I thought you had like a mummified cat or something. You found?
Actually, my mother-in-law gifted me a mummified cat that they found in the wall, and the reason I kept it is because there's a lot of lore behind it. Not so much in the U.S., but a lot over in Europe. When they used to build houses, they used to take cats, already deceased cats, and put them in the wall, mummified. And really? Their job basically was to keep evil spirits away. They would basically attract the evil spirit to them, and they would eat it in in the
Right.
lore that it was. But granted, when you find a lot of cats these days, they're like under porches and stuff that are mummified. But she found it in the wall, and I was like, I would like to keep it because to me, it has that sentiment to it.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
And
people were more interesting back then.
yeah, I don't know if it was something on your camera, but something weird just went behind you. But
Probably knowing me,
yeah, I don't know. I just seen something behind you. It was weird looking.
it
Uh,
wouldn't surprise me.
I'll have to go back and watch the replay of that. Maybe it's one of your demons. I don't know. But yeah, that's weird. I never heard the story about the cat. That's interesting. Like they put them in walls to ward off evil spirits.
Yep, back when they were
That is
constructing
cool.
houses. So like you usually wouldn't even find them unless you were like completely renovating your house, tearing down walls, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's interesting though. So if I find a cat in a wall I tear out, it may have been
Yeah, now
placed
you'll
around
know. Now it won't be like a super weird mystery. How the hell did they get in here?
right. Yeah, that is weird. That's cool though. I never heard that. I
Yeah,
learned
there's
something.
a I love cats for that reason. There's so much spiritualism behind them, especially in like ancient Egypt and stuff. But like
Oh,
every
definitely.
culture seems to have their own something with cats.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm weird. I like cats and I hate dogs. Like, if most
Same.
guys the opposite. Like, yeah, I'm like a cat person. Like, but
I'm
yeah,
always afraid to say that because I'm like, if anything wrecks my career, it's saying I don't like dogs.
yeah, I can't stand dogs either. I probably just lost all my followers. But it's like we like dogs. But yeah, that's weird because yeah, the cats go back like you say, ancient Egyptian times, and there's a lot of
Hmm.
like lore and rituals and stuff even that were done with cats. You know, they would embalm cats and like all kinds of
Hmm.
stuff. I mean, that's pretty cool though. But going back to the whole demon thing too, did that like and that influences your photography too? You know, because like your photography is
Definitely.
awesome, by the way. Like, I mean, because it's like a combination of like beauty and dark death type.
Hmm.
you know, um, I mean, it's kind of cool to see skulls and like skeletons and stuff. With your photography. It's a cool combination that like I think it's kind of unique, and I haven't seen too many people do that. So
Ah, I love it, and it helps to have access to it all because then
yeah,
you're constantly getting inspiration for it. I
right,
love to mix the two because like it's that whole classic feeling of in horror movies you have a pretty girl, you have horror, you have death,
right,
and everyone's
right,
attracted to that because it's just unusual to that extent.
right,
And I love mixing that with the demon imagery and all that, and it just creates a whole other
right.
feeling.
Yeah, because it's kind of like a combination of like you say, beauty and life and beauty and death, and like some people don't look at the beauty in death. Like I
Mm,
mean, death is like a natural process that happens to us all. And it can be people want to mourn and be like sad and stuff over death, but we're probably going somewhere better. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe not. but
I've never ever thought about the afterlife before. Everyone's
really,
always like, "You believe in demons? Do you believe in hell and heaven?" And I'm like, I honestly have never thought about it.
yeah, yeah.
Couldn't care less what happens after death. I'm existing in the now.
That's a good way to live. Because yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff. I mean, like I say, people just don't understand out there. And like, so you got into like you even like modified your ears, right? I mean, you got the
Yeah,
you
I had
did.
them pointed.
Yeah, I thought you did. That's cool.
I love them. I wish
Yeah,
I'd done them sooner.
yeah, that's pretty cool. I saw your pictures when you got those done, and I was like, that's pretty neat. So like, was that modification inspired by anything too? I mean, did that something
Demons.
inspire you to do that as well?
Yeah, the demon I work with he has pointed ears, and I was always
Really?
just, they look better on people.
Right.
I didn't
Yeah.
even know it was a thing until probably like 4 or 5 years ago, and I was like, I have to have that done.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've actually seen it done before. The whole Elfear, the
Mm,
modification and everything. It's pretty cool. But yeah, that just interests me. I mean, just because like it's influencing you to do that and modify your body and like I mean, are you somewhat trying to look like? I mean, is that your end goal to look like some of the things you see or the ones you communicate with?
when I was younger, that was a very large factor in it. I would because they're very extremely pale. They have pink eyes. They have long ears and horns,
You
long
say
white
pink
hair.
eyes?
Pink eyes, very albinistic. And as a kid, I would just wear pink eye contacts and like I would try to look like them the best I could because that was all like it was the most comforting place I knew.
Yeah.
But as I grew older, I'm like, this isn't practical. I have a very yellow skin tone. It just doesn't work.
Right.
So the one main thing past their appearance that sticks out are the stories they tell. And some of them are just the reason that they are who they are. And have always chosen to imprint those images on me. And they always signify a story that they've previously told me. So I have plans for like my entire body over just the stories they've told me.
Really?
Yeah.
Like they can tell you stories and you um like I mean, can you explain some of that maybe? Like I mean some of what they tell you? That's pretty cool.
Well, one notable story, I'll actually explain this one.
Okay.
So it's a mess right now because I got a tattoo. It's two snakes, the white snake and a black snake. The tattoo artist, I don't know, messed it up really bad, so I'm getting it covered
Yeah.
up by Paul Booth. But
Right.
the original,
So this is the one on your forearm, your left forearm?
yeah, black snake and a white snake. You can't really
Okay.
tell what it is anymore. But so one of the stories that he told me was that he was walking with a bunch of his friends at the time, back in I don't know what era. It was just kind of like just showing me through images, and they were walking down a road, and they knew he was at the time like an angelicish figure, and they were all young, and there was an old guy standing at the corner of the road, and he had, what was it? I think he had a snake in his hands.
Yeah.
And he came up to him. They all came up to him and were like talking to him, trying to figure out why he was there. And they kind of like laughed, and they went to walk away. And the old guy looked at N, which is what his name is, and he was like, "Do you know what makes you different from them?" And said, "I'm not different than them. We were made the same." And he said, "Let me show you something." And the snake bit him, and he didn't feel it. And then the snake bit one of his friends, and they all pulled back in pain. And the old guy looked at him and said, "You were built different because you can't feel." And that's it, to him, it was an extremely impactful and emotional statement to realize that he was built so differently. He didn't have the aspect of feeling.
Right.
So I got that on my arm just as a reminder of that.
Right.
Just being that profoundly different.
And that was told you by them?
Yes.
That is very interesting.
Yeah, he has many. He likes to talk.
Huh?
He likes to talk. He has a lot of stories.
That's cool. I mean, I don't know. That's pretty interesting. I mean that's just like I don't know. That floors me. I mean, I don't even know what to say because that like I mean, there's knowledge in that too. I mean, there's deeper knowledge in that. You know, it's like moral stories kind of. It's like
Yeah.
You know, it's like
all the stories that he tells are very like things like that I have cried after he's told me because I'm like something
yeah,
I can't even as a human comprehend how powerful that would have been. Like
yeah.
his first memory of color, that existing.
Color?
Color. Like coming into an existence as a fully formed, knowing being and to have experienced color for the first time was, I think that
Okay.
he's saying that was one of his most profound memories of all of them.
And that's why he told you about him coming into existence and seeing color. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and he would show me the images of what that was like, and like comprehending color made it very, very different.
That is interesting. I mean, because that's crap you just don't make up. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like, you know, that's very interesting because like, I don't know. That just blows my mind.
It was difficult growing up for that reason because he's always been in my head. We've always talked, and the stories and everything, the story behind him and all that was like can't really like because if I share that with someone, it's the next like 3 years of them just deeply trying to figure it all out.
Right.
But I'm like, do it the way I did. Go out, summon your own demons. Don't do that. But
Yeah.
I can't. N will never be attached to you as much as he is to me and those around me because that's just he seems to be tethered to me for whatever reason.
Right.
So I can never, nor do I want to convince you, whoever's asking me, to the extent that I've been convinced. It's not really possible unless you spend that much time around him.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it would be cool if you try to like do some like ITC or EVP sessions through you know, some type of communication to see if they can come through and communicate with you like that and record it and see if anything happens. I mean,
yeah, that's something I've never actually tried. Like I've tried Ouija boards, but I've never tried like recording or anything.
right.
I've always wondered.
Yeah.
He's not shy, so it wouldn't surprise me if he's just
Right. Yeah. Well, next time I'm in Pennsylvania, maybe we can all stop by and maybe
Yeah.
we can try to like get some communication or something around you because like
We can hit up
we
all the
went
graveyards. Woo!
yeah, yeah. We were actually looking for places in Pennsylvania a couple summers ago. We went out to Gettysburg and to the battlefields and all that. Where are you guys at from there? Are you close to?
Ugh, I'm way up at the top of PA. There's nothing up there.
Are you? Yeah,
Yeah, up between Scranton and Binghamton, if you know where
yeah,
they are.
right. But yeah, I had some weird experiences out there in Pennsylvania though, like the battlefields and a few areas in there. Like, gosh, I can't remember. I think it was Hollow or Large. I can't remember the name of it now. or Reynolds Woods. That was one of them. Reynolds Woods, I think. Yeah, there were some strange things that happened in there. Same things that happened at the triangular field out there. I mean, I don't know if you've been out there a lot, but it's weird.
Yeah, I've always gotten that vibe off of PA. And like if you look at the oddity community, it's like in PA.
Right,
Everything weird happens in PA.
right. It does.
It's so weird.
Yeah, yeah. I was out there in one of the fields, and like, I'll tell you what, I was messed up for like a week when I got home. When I went back to my hotel room after we did investigations out there at the Gettysburg at the battlefields, like I woke up one night and saw this like Civil War soldier stand over my bed while I was still out there in my hotel room,
Oh.
and it was like he was trying to kill me, like trying to stab me.
Yeah,
Like,
that do it.
yeah, it was bad. And I felt like I got stabbed like in the rib cage one time when I was out there, and that was in Triangular Field too, by Devil's Den there at the battlefields there in Pennsylvania. Like it just felt like somebody took a bayonet or knife and ran it through my rib cage. Like I almost went to my knees. It hurt so bad. And like I'd read reports of how other people had experienced things like that, or even like seen like soldiers laying all over the ground bleeding as they were walking through there, and kind of went back into time and like this dimensional overlap and like
Yeah.
seeing what had happened in the past. And I don't know what happened to me, but it was freaky. But I just figured, you being heightened awareness like you are going into a location like that. I mean, do you notice like going into like places that are reported to be extremely haunted? Do you notice stuff like intensifying like around you?
Yeah, definitely. That's always been something that I've had. One of the most notable moments, because I just like haunt it to excess when I was younger.
Yeah.
But my parents lived just in the valleys and the hills, and one time I like trudged down and like there were like 3 feet of snow. It was exhausting, and I had gone down to the creek, which is this huge steep incline, and I went back up and I sat at the top, and I was exhausted, and I was like, tempting it again, and all of the birds just went dead silent in that moment.
Right.
And I was like, your stomach drops to your feet because you're like, why is that happening? And I look down, and I'm like looking around, and at the bottom of the hill, I see I've never been able to like explain other than like the predator's cloak, how it's like that weird clear mirrory thing.
Yeah.
Of just a man walking through the woods. And he turned and
Really?
looked at me, and then he started running. Like, and as like I think I was like 10 at the time.
Yeah.
The sheer panic that went through my body, like I ran across that snow like I was flying all the way back home.
Yeah.
That was one of the most real things I've ever experienced without it like being there. It's horrible.
Yeah. See, I don't know. It almost sounds to me like you got a lot of stuff going on from like, like abilities, as far as sensing ghosts and spirits and seeing things, the spirit realm. It's like from a young age. I mean, it's like,
Definitely.
I don't know. That's why I can't see how you can sort it all out from, ghosts to demons to,
Yeah, I don't know. When I was younger, probably like 18 or 19, I spent a lot of times exploring abandoned buildings. And there's a
yeah,
lot of the time there's more activity around, those places. And I would get dropped off alone because I had a young kid at the time, and like the husband would be with the kid, and I'd get dropped off for 20 minutes and he'd circle around back. Not safe, don't recommend it.
yeah,
But there have definitely been. There was one place that just had this awful, god awful feeling about it. I didn't want to be in there. And I couldn't stop dreaming about the place. And it was the same dream over and over and over of walking into the basement. It was like an older woman's home, and everything was just left the same. There was scissors on the table, like next to cut flowers, and abandoned for the last 40 years. And in the dream, and it was just reoccurring, you walk into the basement, and there was just this mass of flies just swarming in this one spot. And that was the extent of the dream. Just feeling that, walking down those stairs and looking at this massive black swarm of flies.
Right.
And I've always kind of been afraid to go back and go down there and see why I'm having a dream about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. That may be a little creepy to go back and see. Yeah. What's
Yeah.
there, but I don't know. Yeah, that's weird because I'm just gonna say, do you have a lot of dreams too? And like you
Oh
didn't
God.
talk about that, but
We do that as a joke. People will be like, "Do you like your dreams weird?" And we always say like, "You should ask her sister." And I'll ask my sister, and she's like, "Oh my God, it's amazing she survives."
yeah,
My dreams are otherworld. Like I can't even begin to explain them. I have probably like 10 to 50 dreams a night, and they
really,
are nightmares. What most people would consider like most horrific of all horrific that you could possibly comprehend. Since I
yeah,
was a young kid, and I'm so used to it now that it's not a nightmare to me. And my dreams are actually like boring if they're not. If they're
yeah.
too toned back, it's just like, okay, I need something more. But yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. Got some comments here there, real quick. Well, one Nikki says she loves your tattoos there, so.
They're a work in progress.
And Rebecca 90, she says, I'm a little late to the program tonight, so this question may have been asked already. Do you feel like demons, like witches, have gotten a bad rep because of religion?
Honestly, I think religion has given them more respect because the other 50% of their prominence in existence is media. And media
Mm,
always promotes them as very goofy or very
right.
like when I first started out, it was very I didn't tell many people because people would be like, "Oh, you're watching Supernatural," and I would avoid stuff like that because I didn't want that reputation. But if you're watching any of it, it's all demonology, like actual demonology, the names
Oh
of things,
yeah.
the books they're using. Even in Doctor Strange, the movie, one of
Yep.
the books that like he is not allowed to touch is the Lesser Key of Solomon, which is an occult book. And I
Uh-huh.
just thought it was funny that they throw that in there because you're always going to find tidbits in like magic and stuff like that that's actually real put in there, even in like what movie wasn't it? The Sherlock Holmes movies. But religion I've always considered to be more a respectful fear of it.
Right.
And that's I think why it makes it more enticing because it's saying, hey, it's not giving you an explanation of why you should stay away from it. It's just giving you, hey, this is dangerous. You're gonna go to hell. Don't go near it. And you're like, that
Mm,
seems kind of weird.
yeah.
There has to be more to that. And it's a very weird version of it that
Sure.
there's definitely more to. So I would always pursue that over like the media version.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got another one here. Hold on. I think she's talking about your demon or whatever. Does he age or remain the same? I'm sorry, I forgot what you called him.
Um, appearance wise, he doesn't age. I've never seen him age, but he has talked about how old he is before. And at the time, he was like 1,100 years old or something.
Wow.
But he doesn't bring it up much. He hardly ever brings up his age. But
Uh,
he'll talk about things from the past and like just different time frames and talk about things before the beginning of existence. And like obviously, I have to take it with a grain of salt as much as I want to trust him because I've known him for so long. At the same time, I'm like, God, I have to. I love listening to you talk, but can I believe it all? I don't know.
right.
Like
Right.
I believe in you fully. You've proven your existence, but I can't believe in all the stories that you tell. I would love
Right.
to, but it's not possible to do that.
Yeah. So you believe like this demon is like has never been human or like
No, they've never been human. This specific one is the only demon I've ever even worked with that was remotely like this. Wishes more than anything that he was human.
so you're
Like
saying he wasn't?
he wasn't. No.
Yeah. And do you believe any of them are? I mean, do you believe any demons were human at one time and then somehow died and turned into this demonic like force, or do you believe all demons are like from somewhere else?
I don't know. At one point, I thought very firmly that like there was a set number of demons in existence, and they're all the same rank that they've always been since the beginning of time. And then I talked to Enmore, and I learned like the ranks shift around, demon relationships shift around, hierarchies shift around, and more demons come into existence. And I'm like, well, that definitely contradicts what the Bible says, which is angels fell, those are the demons.
Right.
But I've definitely have listened in on conversations where with the demons that they were hard to explain.
Huh.
What they would call lesser demons
Right.
before
Yeah.
they earn any ranking is that that's the multitude of them all. And
Hmm.
if they were human, I don't know. Because I've worked with people very closely that I would consider extremely close friends that definitely believe that some of the demons were people at one point. And I
Yeah.
respect them. So I want to believe that, but I haven't experienced that.
Right.
But it's definitely open to possibility.
Here's one. Does he like your husband?
Yes, actually. They consider each other very close friends. He also has tattoos on his body for him.
That's like he's been influenced also.
Yes, very much so.
Really?
Which is funny because when we first met, he was also very Christian. And I
Yeah.
explained the whole demon thing like on our first date, and he was just like, "Nope, not gonna happen." And the first time the demon started talking to him through me, he was like, "I'm not gonna listen to you. You need to leave. You need to get out of here. You need to be cast out, yada yada, in the name of Jesus."
Yeah.
And the demon was like, "Can I just ask you one question? Who gives you the right to judge me outside of a book that you read once?" And it
Right.
just hit him in a way that he was like,
That's what the demon said.
"Yeah."
Outside of a book you read once, I suppose the Bible or what? What was he
Just like
speaking?
the view of religion that he had on it was the religion says, "Hey, this is demons. Nothing else is past that. Say no to them." And the demon
Yeah.
was like, "Hey, I'm more than that. I exist in like I have personality. I have appearance. Like I'm real." And you're just gonna like
Yeah.
not even humor that from one thing that you believed when you were a kid, and that kind
Hmm.
of stemmed a huge relationship there.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, that's really strange. So like, so like, um, when he was speaking through you, like, I mean, is it a different voice? Is it your voice? Like, I mean, or like, how does that come across?
So probably for a good 10 years, it would always be online. I'd write out everything that he said, and our agreement was everything that was said had to go through me because he couldn't use the keyboard.
Right.
And I wouldn't be present in the conversation, and I would always forget the conversation. So every conversation he's ever had with somebody like that, I don't remember. It's like I'm not there. I'm not awake really.
Hmm.
So he can like he has built relationships with people through me while that person simultaneously hates me for whatever reason. Like they don't want to know me, don't want to be my friend or anything. And they can
Yeah.
maintain a relationship with that demon.
That's
He he he's never talked to me like with his voice or anything. He doesn't tend
right.
to do that, but I have like spoken for him, like what he's saying and stuff.
Uh, um, you were talking about Ouija boards earlier too.
Mm-hmm.
So do you get any crazy stuff through Ouija boards like like other people don't? I mean, have you got like
So my I have tried and tried and tried and tried, and I have never got it to work until recently. I think it
yeah,
was early last year. One of my friends had an old Ouija board. They lived in this old converted brothel into an apartment complex. We went up into the attic. We sat down. Neither of us believed that it would work. And that thing went crazy. Like we had a whole conversation. It was insane. And I'm just like, we're both sitting there staring at each other like, it's you. It's definitely you. But like we trust each other at the same time. And they're like, no, that's just not. We're just like, okay, that was odd.
yeah,
But it wasn't, that was specifically a ghost. That was probably one of my only experiences with a ghost.
right. Yeah, because I actually I collect old Ouija boards and have a big collection of like old old Ouija boards, and
That's awesome.
I'm weird. I don't know.
Um, I actually wasn't into them for a long time, but my very Christian friend, I don't know why they're all super Christian, but she was.
Yeah.
She and her husband bought a house, and it was an old doctor's estate. And I can't not explore every square inch of everything. So
Right.
I'm like up in the attic crawling through the space, and there's just this huge empty attic and a chest. And I'm
Uh-huh.
like, random. So I go up, open the chest. Sure enough, there's a Ouija board wrapped in a blanket.
Really?
And like the doctor, I can't remember his name. He was like the first doctor in the area at the time, and like he was also super religious. So I'm like, it was like definitely hidden in there. It didn't
Right.
have the planchette with it, but it was 18 I can't remember. It's one of the older ones. It was
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
it switched over to
Park like before
Parker
Parker
Bros.
Brothers. Yeah.
I'm not great with them, but that was
Yeah.
that was fascinating.
That's cool. Yeah.
I
Some
never
of
got
them
that one to
were
work.
from like Salem, Massachusetts too. They had on the boards, like some of the older boards too. Like I don't know, that's
Yeah,
interesting. You think you
yeah.
really belong to that though? Like it kind of drew you to it. I mean,
Definitely there was the whole aspect of my father once told me that when he was younger, he visited his friend's house, and they were all religious too. And they decided to bring out a Ouija board to speak to his recently deceased father. And my father was like, without a doubt, in like moments, I knew that there was something there because it started speaking. The family was like, "Oh my God, it's our dad!" And my dad just got up and left, and he never went back. He's like, "I probably
Yeah.
never even spoke to them again because like the fear that went through his body." But I've always wanted that. Like when he was a kid, he said he had a Necronomicon that
Yeah.
he managed to get into. He was very religious because his father was a pastor, and he had it under his bed. And he woke up one morning or one night, and the whole bed was shaking.
Oh my gosh.
And I was just like, I need this. I need to see it and feel it and believe it. And I think that's
Right.
might have been one of the reasons why my parents were so adamant to keep me away from it because it just I guess runs in the bloodline that things happen.
Probably, yeah. That's pretty
But
cool.
Mike Zone and Logan King and all them who run the Ouija board museum up in Salem, I've gone a couple times and I know them all. I love
Right.
going up there because it's not even. It's like you're mixing just absolute artistic skill with occultism and the unknown and all that just to see it in one place. It's just the most. Some of those boards are just beautiful.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. I know it's really cool. And I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence of whether it's your subconscious mind doing some of it or what. But I mean, I still think stuff can influence. I mean, the stuff can influence your
Mm-hmm.
subconscious mind anyway. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
obviously.
Yeah. See, I've always wondered that with Ouija boards. Like I never had any movement whatsoever, and I'm like, well, maybe I just like have a heightened awareness, and I can't trick myself. And then the
Right.
one time I was doing it with somebody, it was just like answering all the questions, and it was zipping around, and I'm like, there's no way. Like we're both sitting there, like there's not even enough pressure on our fingertips. You could like to
Right.
move it. It was just
Yeah.
one of those experiences.
Oh yeah, I've seen it moving around so fast, like it actually flew off the board before. Like we were like using it with a couple people, it'll like, I mean, it'll tip and just fly off the board. It gets going so fast. It's like pretty weird. I mean,
I love it. I need to see more.
but yeah. Trying to read some more questions here. He said, I buried my Ouija board. I opened a portal and was attacked and shoved so hard I broke my ribs. Oh my gosh. That's the thing too. What do you think about portals and like dimensional doorways? And like, do you think like demons or spirits or entities can come through portals or like doorways and enter into like our dimension? Like, what's your theory on
Definitely,
that?
100%. I believe that. I think that's the reason that symbols are so symbolic. When you have talismans and you have sigils of demons and stuff like that, it's like the doorway, and it's basically inviting you in. And that's what happened when I drew out this whole design of this ritual. It just opens a doorway straight to hell, basically, and pull the demon
Right.
out. But objects, anything like that. Like I've had items, I've had dolls. I actually had a doll collection when I was a kid, and the demon would just every once in a while. I had this one friend that he just hated, and every time she was over, he would just kind of possess the doll, and the doll would just turn his head and look at her, and she'd scream and run out of the room every time.
Yeah.
And it just because he wasn't. And I don't know what it was about certain items. Like it was not like he could possess a book or something. I mean, maybe he could, but he never did. But it's always like my pets. Like if I had serpents in the house, he'd always possess a serpent or a doll or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think doorways can exist on pretty much anything. Like I
Right.
have a piece of stained glass with a devil face on it. I had it imported from Europe. I paid way too much money, but I had to have it. And the feeling that comes off that is like you don't want to mess with it, but it's just so astoundingly beautiful. You know that there's a
Yeah.
doorway there, but you don't know what it is.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So do you collect weird stuff like that? I mean, like,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
just had a conversation with someone about this.
I got a whole collection of like haunted objects and stuff too. Just stuff, just weird stuff like that too. But it's like I even seen like that jar you posted here recently was really cool. That big jar you got.
Oh, I love those things.
Where the heck did you find that at?
I just went on eBay and typed in a museum jar and bam, and I was like,
Yeah,
woohoo!
yeah, that thing's cool.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Um, they're asking. This lady's saying, my mom's super Christian, never allowed me to get a Ouija board.
Same. Didn't
Yeah,
have one in the house.
yeah. You missed out on a lot, Heather. Try to go through the comments here. Joe, that's interesting though. Like, so your photography and your photo shoots, you said, I mean, you're highly influenced by that through to do your photo shoots like that too. I mean, do they ever say, hey, do this particular set or this particular like scene with photography? I mean, are you expressing like that through the photography also, like what they tell you to do? Or
It's never something that they say, like, hey, here's this image that I want to see happen. But my agreement has always been with them, I'm going to make your name prominent. So the image of the devil itself is very enticing. And I've always promoted that image, and I've always kind of wanted to focus all of my stuff towards that. So a lot of my shoots will have like elements of it, like horns or.
Yeah, you had a goat, didn't you?
Yes, I love goats. They're
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
I have a whole collection. I hate selling them.
yeah.
But like the whole very strong demonic imagery really brings people in. And that's how I used to run my old website, was just very, because that's like I used to write whole pages as to why the imagery is as strong as it is when it comes to
Right.
demons, and why, like, what that connection is really.
Yeah.
And I just, yeah, it's just something that I just kind of have to has to exist with my image, my personal image.
Right.
Same with tattoos. It's the same thing. It's just not on you.
Yeah. Yeah, because I seen some of your photographs. I was like, gosh, it's like, I mean, it's, I guess to some people it would be like taboo type photography, but I think it's awesome. You know, it's like that dark gothic, like,
Mm-hmm.
style photography. And like some people won't venture into that side of photography. And it's just like, it's so cool. Like some of the stuff I've seen you do with your photography. So it's like,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
definitely eager to do it more. Like I have these like ideas that I want to do, and I'm like, this is impractical to like cover myself in 16 million cockroaches, but like
right. Yeah. Yeah.
someday, like I like to push the envelope. I like to push the extreme with it. So just because anybody could take a picture of a naked person and put it online, and it's
Right.
photography. But if you conceptualize it in such a way that it becomes art and it has like, there's more to it.
Yeah.
You end up in this
Absolutely.
situation where you see it and you're like, wow, this person's interesting. And now we're here talking about demons.
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
you're promoting yourself, so why not promote exactly who you are?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Um, I think we can go a little while longer here. We're like an hour and 30 minutes. I don't know how long you want to stay on, but are you still good?
I'm still good for now.
Okay. I was gonna say if you need to go, just let me know. But can you kind of like show some of your other tattoos and some of like the stories behind what made you get that one too? You know, if it was the demonic, inspiration, like the one on
No,
your
I
neck.
honestly don't have too many right now. I have this one on my neck, which is an
Yeah.
eye and wings, because um, his eyes are one of the most prominent imagery to me. Like his sigil consists of his eyes. Like when I see him, a lot of the times it's just his eyes and stuff like that, and it's as if I'm seeing through his eyes a lot of the time. So for me, the eye imagery is very important to make sure I have a lot of. So even in my cover up tattoo that I'm doing, there's a lot of eyeballs worked in for that purpose. And then the wings are another one of his memories. When he first came into existence, he looked up over his wings, and the light coming through it was his first comprehension of light. It's just like
Okay.
little things like that. And then the only other one that I have that's very prominent is the one on my wrist that I refuse to cover up. It's just an eyeball as well
Yeah.
that I
That's cool.
came straight out of his one of his sigils.
Yeah.
And the ones on the back of my hands are just the ends for his name.
Okay. Yeah, and you don't say his name. You say
Yeah, it's just N, which was a
okay.
nickname given to him a long time ago by somebody.
Okay. Yeah, you don't have to say it.
A
But
little bit of
that's
mystery.
interesting. So he has wings,
Yes. In a lot of the images that I've seen of him, yeah.
really. So are they like dark wings, white wings? Like what color are the
They're
wings?
actually, I always have to laugh because they almost look like pigeon wings.
Right.
They're white with a lot of brown speckles in them. He's only ever let me like actually like see them very well a few times, like in his memories and stuff like that. Because I don't know, I guess it just doesn't tend to look over his shoulder and stare at them. But
Yeah.
they're very, classic angel-y kind of feel. And I think that's more of like his whole, you know, dolled up image performance kind of look that demons tend to do because they're very egotistical. So
Yeah.
it's like putting on makeup or something. It's just like they don't always have that image portrayed.
Right. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't imagine him having wings. I don't know. Like that's pretty interesting. Shanna says, I love dark photography. Yeah, it's really cool. Like, and not many people do it. I mean, it's just like, uh,
I
that's
don't
why
know
it's
why.
unique. Uh,
There's just too much of everything else, in my opinion.
yeah.
Even if it is like you look at it and it's very gimmicky, or like I have a lot of people comment, you're like, you look very Hot Topic. And I'm like, at least I don't look like you. You look like you came from Walmart. Like I
Right.
would rather be unique.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm trying to. She said something else. Demons are what sells on network pair shows, which is fine. If it weren't for the fact that some people who watch now think everything is a demon in reality. Yeah, that's true too. Like some of the paranormal shows, like everything becomes demonic or a demon to them.
Yep.
Uh,
That is a huge thing I had to deal with back in the day because I would get so many people coming to me like, this demon, and they'd explain it. This is the interesting part because a lot of the times it would be like from anime or from supernatural, something like that. And I'd be like, yeah, this and this, but this is the origin of it. Like they actually took this idea from something, this is yada yada. And
right.
sometimes you get those people that would come in and be like, hey, I have this demon from this anime. And it would be the demon taking on the most comforting image to that person. There's a
Mm-hmm.
very distinct difference when I was working with these people. It kind of takes a little bit to tell who's just interested because it's like on TV and it's cool, and someone that like was spoken to by this character and they
Right.
were already involved with the demon. The demon kind of just absorbed that character, elements of that character, and it kind of just grew from there. Um, because I've met definitely a lot of people that they'll come to me and be like, "Hey, this demon has this name. It's from this anime," and I'll talk to them for a good few years, and I'll help them understand that demon to the point that they actually know their name, their real name,
Mm-hmm.
why they connected to that demon, this and the other thing. And I mean, demons. One of those interview things that my parents showed me when we were kids. Demons speak through media in a way, not in
Yeah.
like a spooky kind of way, but
Yeah.
they want to be known. So why not portray yourself to the world in that way? Because you're going to get people that are so invested in that specific demon that it becomes their life, and then they have that person, I guess. However, they do that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I never rule that out. If someone comes to me and they're like, "Oh, I got Lilith attached to me," and I'm like, "Unlikely, but let's talk."
Right.
99% of the men all say Lilith.
Yeah. Reading some more comments here. I guess they're talking to themselves there, but yeah, and like I don't know, I got into studying a lot of Native American stuff too, and like spiritual stuff too, like Native Americans, the way they believe and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they looked at demons in a different light as like uh, not necessarily physical manifestations or actually something attached or outside of the person, but feelings of the person themselves were like demonic, like love, lust, anger. Yeah, some people religions consider feelings demons in a way. It's like the demon of like love or lust or anger or jealousy. Like they
Yeah.
considered things like that demonic forces and demons that they could cast out. Like, what do you feel about like emotions inside people? Are they? Do you think they're actually caused by demons or?
I think they're greatly influenced by demons because a lot of the times, if you go back to the old grimoires and you look at the old logs of demons and their actual names, and you start to translate those names, and they're actually words for emotions.
Yeah.
Like there'll be demons specifically with the name basically loosely translating to anger or rage or something like that. And I've actually met a lot of men specifically that they have like uncontrollable anger issues, and they've come to me and they're like, there is some like it's past far past just anger issues. There's something there that is just
Right.
promoting this, that is making this worse. And they're
Right.
like, it's giving me power, and like they get really involved in it. They're like, this is my safety, this is my power, and
Yeah.
it's never good for the person
Yeah.
because it gets in and it's very damaging. And that's why I don't work with a lot of demons because they're good at what they do, very good,
Right.
and they will get to you. And like I think a lot of the times the hierarchy of demons, the demons will gain their position off of something that they're the best at manipulating. So
Yeah.
if a demon is best at manipulating emotions based off lust, they're going to have that position and that title in
Hmm.
whatever ranking that they have at the time.
Right.
And that's why there's all the lesser spirits that just kind of bum around, do whatever. And then you have the big boys, and people want to pursue them because their names are on the top of everything. That's what they say in Supernatural. That's what they say in all the other shows. But in reality, it's like I wouldn't go near them with a 10-foot pole, and I work with demons all the time.
Right.
Because even if I can see it coming, I can't make it not happen.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. And like, I mean, it just this whole subject of demon stuff. I haven't got into this a lot on my show. I mostly deal with ghosts and hauntings. I mean, I talk about demonic stuff a lot. Because I mean, I try to investigate those type of cases and those type of hauntings. I'm drawn to that type of stuff. Like other investigators don't want anything to do with it. Like they're like, you shouldn't be messing with that stuff. And it's like that's the stuff I want to, I want to experience and see and deal with. And it's just like, like I said, I'm still. I wish I could find proof, or some type of photographic proof or evidence of, demonic like activity, even through audio recordings. If I could record something, or if you could record something, and send it to me, like if you could hear that, that would be awesome. But I don't know if it works that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's definitely something I've never tried before. It would be interesting. I'd be interested to see what happens.
You're definitely gonna have to try that. Just get like a digital recorder or something, and or even download like a voice app on your phone, like a recording app on your phone. Those work really well. And just ask it questions, see if you get any like responses, and actually, pick them up through audio. You can use any type of digital recorder too. I mean, anything basically that record voice, you may capture some type of EVP or demonic. I guess in your case, it would be a demonic EVP or a demon EVP. But that would be very interesting if you ever get something. I mean, that's kind of
cool.
I'm
gonna have to try that. I don't know why I've never tried that before.
Yeah, you definitely have to keep me updated on all this.
I will.
Okay. But yeah, and going back into some demons real quick, like going back kind of what I was talking about, some of the Native American legends. Like some Native American legends that believe they could control demons. I mean, and that goes clear back to like biblical times too and beyond with King Solomon, and Solomon's steel, Solomon supposedly had control over the demons and, could manipulate and use demons for his, benefit or against people, and he had a special ring and all that. And even when you get into Native American traditions and stuff, there was what they called the demon of distraction, and they were always trying to control this demon of distraction. And one of the old wise tales was like this guy couldn't figure out how to control this demon of distraction. He was always being distracted by other things. So this other wise Indian came up and plucked a hair out of this guy's head, and he had curly hair. He said, "Hand this curly hair to the demon." He said, "Why?" And he said, "Well, just hand it to him, and you'll see." So he hands the demon this curly hair, and the demon keeps trying to straighten it. And it was basically the demon of distraction, and the demon just kept pulling it apart. It kept going curly again. So basically, it kept the demon busy and controlled him.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of stories like that through traditions. I mean, do you think like they can be controlled?
Yep, I think so. A lot of them are very susceptible to their egos. It's easy to stroke their egos. Give them a false sense of security. You tend to learn more because they're a little bit more giving of knowledge and information. But a lot of the demons I've worked with are very thick-headed.
Right.
There are some that are like notorious for never being able to like be taunted and tricked. And I think that's why there's so many stories about why it's so great to be able to trick a demon.
Right.
It's so difficult in a lot of the cases. But there's a lot of stories. Some of them are like, I wish there was a compilation of all of them somewhere. I'm sure somewhere there is.
Right. Yeah. That's what I was wondering too. Have you ever tried to just, control it or get rid of it? I mean, do you like it? I mean, do you like this? I mean, because it's become you, I mean, do you like it, or would you kind of wish it didn't happen?
When I was younger, for probably about 4 years, I tried everything under the sun. My parents tried everything. Everybody tried everything to get rid of it. And it just kind of it's like repeatedly poking a dog with a stick. It just made it angrier. It wasn't, nothing we could do could make it go away.
Right.
And he wanted me to go away. Like, he didn't like me either. And it was just years worth of realizing that we worked better together than against. And I had something to offer him. He had something to offer me.
Right.
And I wouldn't want to exist in a world where he didn't exist.
Right.
Like, I don't think
That's kind of cool.
I don't even know what it would be like if he wasn't around.
Yeah. So it's just become you and part, your friend basically. I
Yeah,
mean,
definitely
so you're never
family.
alone. I mean, that is kind of interesting, because it's like it's almost it's like no matter where you go, it's a part of you or with you.
Yeah,
It's kind of neat. I mean,
yeah. And there's times when he's not around, and I'll call and be like,
I was so
"Come
there.
here, talk to you,
So he's
whatever,"
not
and
there
he's not
all the
around.
time,
No, only if I start talking about him, he shows up because he loves his name.
right?
If he loves to mess with people, new people, so like people will come over all the time, and they'll be like, "Prove to me he's real, yada this," and all of a sudden, like, I had one person over recently, and they were like, if he's real, he'll stop the music from playing. Like if he's actually real. And the song switched on the radio, and the only lyrics were, "I'm not going to stop the song from playing." And they were just like, they
Oh
were
my god,
floored. But he
yeah,
does stuff like that all the time, just kind of like mess with people a bit.
right.
But
That's pretty cool.
he's not shy.
Right? Yeah. That's interesting. Let's see here. Reading some more comments here. Uh, Diana said, "I'd love to hear her EVP experience if you ever try that."
It'd probably be interesting.
We'll have to have you on here for like round two. Like you have to like go try this, and like a couple months later come back, and like we'll see what you get.
Yeah, I'm curious now. Because even past just the demon next to me, I wonder what there's going to be. Because like, we used to have a group of people, we'd always go explore abandoned buildings, and always like, "You got to come because you're the one that everything shows up for."
Yeah, yeah,
And we'd be like standing there, and all of a sudden you just hear this like guttural growl coming from all around you, and everyone would just bolt out of there. It
yeah,
was always fun.
yeah. I know how that is. It's like I've got a friend, like she kind of reminds me of you a little bit, but she's into like some, kind of witchcraft type stuff, Wiccan stuff, and she moved out of state, but she just came back here recently and went with me again. She moved out to California and came back. Like anytime me and her are together, like it is really weird. Like, do you feel like when you're with certain people that like it enhances your I guess I don't know, maybe power to perceive things and things start happening around you. Because when me and her together, she's into stuff like that. It's like us combined, all sorts
Mm,
of weird stuff starts happening around us. Like, do you notice that with people?
definitely. It's actually, I've spent my whole life learning people and learning what people are susceptible to it and what aren't, just based off of a first interaction with them.
Right,
And I'm just notorious for like skipping the small talk. "Hi, hello, I'm from here," and just go straight to, "Do you believe in the other world?" Like
right.
much deeper conversations that people aren't used to having.
Hmm.
And a lot of the time people are just like, "That's weird." And sometimes they're going to meet people that are just like, "How do you know that? How do you
Right.
know that that's happening in my life? How do you know the thoughts? Like, how do you know I've experienced this?"
Yeah.
And those are the people that come into my life and they never leave. Like they become like staple friends for the rest of my life, because those are the people that
Right.
build relationships with N and stuff. And they just, even being around them, you could just feel more, hear more, speak more. It's just
Yeah.
very different,
Yeah.
very different.
Yeah, I agree. And then you've got those people that like are the opposite too. It's like they block everything. Have you noticed that? It's like
Yeah.
they're just
Oh
like I
yeah.
don't know. It's weird.
Honestly, I think a lot of the time that's out of fear of the unknown. And a lot of the time, those people are very obsessed with the afterlife. They're afraid of what comes after, so much
Hmm.
so they don't even want to think about anything otherworldly. I've
Right.
run into those people a lot where I'm like, I've never met somebody in such denial about not living.
Right. Yeah.
But like demons, ghosts, witches, they're all like, "Doesn't exist, absolutely can't." I'm like, you can't prove anything. Like, you can't. And they're like, "Oh, it's science and this." I'm like, if you look at history, scientists are generally the ones that believe in the otherworldly, as opposed to
Right.
everyone else. I'm like, there's
Yep.
a reason for that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that was weird. My
Yeah.
camera went blurry. I don't know what went on there. Uh, Let me see here. We're gonna read some more questions, and then let me see. When I'm with people, the higher vibe, more things happen. I have experiences daily, but when I'm with certain people, it makes a difference. So yeah, apparently people notice that stuff.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, um, but yeah, I better not keep you all night. I could talk about this stuff all night because it really interests me. I mean, it's just unique, and like I I find it unique that it's formed who you are. I mean, that's what's awesome. It's a
Yeah,
part
I
of
wouldn't
you.
I wouldn't want it any other way. I just,
Yeah,
I don't
that
know.
is so cool.
Regular life is too boring. It really
Yeah,
is. I know most
yeah,
people are just like, ah, be a rebel, be different. And I'm like, like really, everybody lives the same way. I need something more.
right.
It's
Yeah,
just it's different. And to have a whole world other than this, where it's the demons that are just as prominent to me as they are other people, it never ends. The interesting never ends. The stories never end. It just goes and goes and goes.
right. Yeah, yeah. But that's really cool. But yeah, well, I got you on here too. Do you want to throw your website out there again so people can get on that, and your Facebook page so people can check that out? Like, kind of just tell them what that is again, real quick.
Yep, I run the website Anatomy. Oh my god, I can't spell it. Hold on.
I know. I've got to look at it too
I
here.
like just made it recently, and I'm like, I spelled it wrong on purpose because I couldn't like
Right. It's kind of
ANATOMIE Anatomy TDN.com. I sell my osteological supplies on there, like human remains, skulls, anything that I fixed up in medical side of things. Diaphanizations, which is basically it's a form of chemistry where you take a specimen and you make it transparent while dyeing the cartilage and the bones different colors for histological purposes and such. I do a lot of those. My blood
right.
paintings I'm going to have up on there. Other things I'm going to have up on there. It's slow build, but I'm getting there. And then all my other Facebooks or Instagrams and all that are all under the name Sophie May V, so it's easier to find. I had a name for every platform. I'm like, this is getting so complicated to make business cards.
Yeah. Yeah, I know how that goes. I'm gonna throw that up in the chat here so people can see it too. I should put it across the screen. I guess I could put it across the screen real quick, but I think I spelled it right. Before I get you off here, so people can find your page. Let me see if this will work. Does it have to be a capital A? Is it case sensitive?
No, it's not.
Okay. It's TDN, correct? .com.
TDN.
Okay, let me see if
And
I can
actually,
put that.
TDN stands for the demon N.
Stands for what?
The demon N.
Oh, really?
Yes, he's kind of the agreement that I had with him is he's always going to have a part in my business. Hidden
Yeah.
in there.
Let me see. Is that correct?
Perfect. Yes.
Okay. All right.
I've
So
literally
yeah,
sent that link to people and I've spelled it wrong like 4 times, and I'm like, the hell?
I know. I had to look at it like 2 or 3 times because yeah, it's a cool
I
spelling.
had to pick a complicated one.
So yeah, check out that website, guys. Check out her stuff, and definitely if you find anything cool, purchase it because she's got some really neat items on there. I don't know how you part with some of them. That'd be
It's
my
hard.
problem. What's
It's
that?
so hard. It's so hard to part with them. I literally like had to tell my husband, I was like, you need to start collecting the specimens that we're keeping forever because otherwise I'm gonna sell them because I have to, but I don't want to. So I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
sell his stuff. So
right. But definitely check that out, guys. And yeah, it's been a pretty cool show. Like I don't know, you've kind of changed my perspective and like made me think about a few things for sure. Because like,
well, I appreciate you having me. It's been a lot of fun actually.
yeah,
Since I sell human remains, I can't really talk about the demon side of stuff because people are automatically like, "Are you using it in occult rituals?" And I've never done that, and I don't agree with it. So I
right.
try and like not have that much of a public persona of it, but it's definitely like 50% of my life, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, I get to talk to somebody about it.
Yeah,
It's
that's
been a
cool.
while.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate you coming on and opening up and talking about this stuff because that was very interesting. Like it's just a unique story, especially like I say with the tattoos and everything being shaped from that's pretty cool. And I didn't know that when you came on. I didn't know like that was all tied in together, so that made it cool. I mean, that was a cool interview, and I like talking to people about unique things that especially when it gets into the paranormal side, like demons and ghosts and everything. So it's like that's cool.
Oh, that pulls me in. I can have those conversations for days.
Oh, me too. I was gonna say I could talk for another 2 hours, but yeah, we may have to have you on for a part two though. If you ever try, you need to keep in touch with me if you ever get into like getting any EVP voices or any
Yeah,
like
definitely.
digital voices. Definitely let me know. So, but yeah, I
Absolutely.
appreciate having you on, and I'll go ahead and probably call it a night tonight. But Yeah, if anything weird happens, definitely send me a message and keep me
There's
updated.
always something weird happening.
Something weird happens
It's
every
always
day.
something. Sometimes the husband will come in and be like, "En's messing with me again." I'm like, "What do you do now?"
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But yeah, again, thank you for having me on. It's been
Yeah,
lovely.
no problem at all. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'll pull you out here and then I'll end the show. And but definitely keep in touch. Thanks again.
Absolutely. Perfect.
All right. See
Thanks.
you later.
Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. That was Sophie May V, and we were interviewing her regarding the stuff she does, her photography, her blood painting. She sells supplies on her website, which I'll kick up here again one more time real quick for her. It's anatomytdn.com. So definitely check that out. She's got some really cool things on there. Does anatomical restoration and has dealt with demons her whole life, which is pretty interesting story. I mean, it makes you think, how many other people are influenced by paranormal energies or demonic forces, that shape their lives, and it really makes you sit back and think about that. And I didn't know that about her when I started interviewing it. It's just cool to hear these stories and how even her tattoos have been influenced by demonic forces. And I mean, how many other people going through life, just gets me thinking, everyday life are influenced by these forces outside of human understanding that we currently don't understand. So just really cool show tonight. Like, I learned a lot from her. Didn't had no idea that cats placed in walls were to ward off spirits. That's a pretty interesting thing I learned tonight. So I learn things from everybody I interview, and I take things from everybody I meet. So really cool for her to come on the show. I appreciate her coming on and doing the interview tonight. So thank you guys for watching. As always, we're going to be doing some more live feeds here pretty soon. And yeah, just really cool interview tonight. Like I say, I'm still blown away by some of the things she said. I'm going to have to sit back and think about all this, guys. So I look into the deeper side of things, and the meaning behind some of the things she said that was telling her. It's just pretty cool. So I'll definitely keep you guys updated on the Facebook page, and our next show will be the first Monday of next month. We will definitely do probably some live feeds here coming up, some investigations we've got going. Me and the other Sophie, my co-host, not to get confused with tonight's Sophie, we were out at Pine Mall Manor the other night doing a live, and we did hear some strange things. We didn't get a whole lot happen after we quit going live, but we did experience some strange sounds, some knocks, and some people from Vincent's ended up showing up, and we took them a little haunted tour. So it was a pretty good night, but we'll keep you updated on our next live investigation. And thank you guys for watching tonight. Hope you all have a great evening, and we will see you on the next one.